Yep. Okay, here we go. Goodbye, Mom.
No, what am I saying?
What, this? It's nothing. Really, it's nothing, Ed. It's just, it's just vocal minority with Nick and Steve.
Have a good time. Make sure your seatbelts are fastened.
Okay, you little bastards. The time has come. The moment we've all been waiting for. It's the vocal minority with Nick and Steve a la Brewski. Let's go.
This, dude, this is just nothing, dude. I mean, it's something. You tuned into it. The vocal minority with Nick and Steve a la Brewski. Back at it, you bastards, and welcome to the program.
Welcome to the show.
That is one of my favorite voiceovers of ours. Our old voice guy there. You can just hear the disdain of like, what? It's just it's vocal minority with Nick and Steve.
Jeez, gotta explain it to you. This, it's nothing.
You can find it online because that's where we live nowadays. It's a podcast. It's on all the podcast sites.
That's right.
And we have a website, thevocalminority.net, and we have social media accounts.
Lots of them. You can find them anywhere you look. You can find them. Okay.
Pretty much. And we have a comment/complaint line that we keep challenging you people to call, so someone should do it.
What if I've been getting all kinds of calls and just not telling you guys?
That seems counterintuitive, and you're a very non-counter. You're just intuitive. So.
Oh, I appreciate that. So call or comment line, 844-48-VOCAL, and a good day to you, sirs.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Fun show coming up here. We've got some conspiracies to talk about, but not the typical right-wing conspiracies. These are things that people thought were conspiracies, but hey, what do you know? They turned out to be true. So even a nut job is right once a day, like a broken clock.
Yeah, wouldn't a broken clock be right twice a day?
Damn it. You're right.
Yeah.
Unless you're working on military time, then no. But
gosh, you're such a quick thinker, Stephen.
Sometimes. Speaking of conspiracies, and Nick, Stephen Brewski here, I've noticed something. Brewski, have you noticed something about Nick these last 6 episodes?
6 episodes.
Has he lost weight?
Well, maybe. He's looking beautiful, but yeah, I mean, we tape 2 at a time. So the last 3 taping sessions, you've been wearing a hat for each one of them, and you've never worn a hat before. So what is going on there?
That's
Are
funny.
We thinning up top? Are we having bad hair days? What's
not
the
thinning
conspiracy?
up top? You want to know the real story, dude?
Sure.
First of all, I have worn a hat on the program before, but it's not often. Yeah, it is once in a blue moon. I'll tell you, dude. I went, 2 weeks ago, I guess. I went and to a new barber. Barber.
I thought you cut your own hair.
Usually 90% of the time I do, and like maybe 1 out of every 5 or 6 haircuts, I go have it shaped up, around it, and then I
professional get in there. Okay.
Went to a brand new barber. Okay. Raving reviews, dude. I had seen all these because I look for a barber. I've had my last barber for a long time. I trusted him. Mm-hmm. So I looked at these reviews, and all these people are like, this is a lady barber, and she's awesome. She's the best person I've ever had cut my hair, blah, blah, blah. So I go
have a lady
in
barber. So.
Okay. Is she a barber or is she a stylist? Does she straight razor?
Exactly.
She only does men's hair, so that's what I consider a barber.
Okay.
She's not a stylist. She just cuts hair. Yeah.
But she doesn't use a straight razor and shaves you and all that.
Maybe if I asked, but I've never asked. She does do my beard, but she uses a trimmer thing, not a straight razor.
Nick's talking about, you get the hot towel, you get the shave and all that stuff. And my barber actually does the straight razor on the back of my neck too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone taking a straight razor to me.
So a barber, when you get a fade on the sides, like this particular barber I just used also did a straight razor shave all around my head.
Wow.
And she did my neck. Okay. But so I'm talking to her about my hair on top. And she's like, you want to change it up a little bit? I says, I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't know what I would do with it. She's like, can I try something? And I was like, gosh, I read all these reviews. I don't know if it was I was too high or what the deal was, but I was like, maybe I'm going to let this go and I'm going to let her try something. Mm-hmm. So I say, sure, yeah, you can try something. She was like, I promise you're going to love it. You're going to look great. So, dude, she turns me around from the mirror.
So you can't see what's going on?
And doesn't turn me back around until it's done.
Oh, boy. That's a red flag. Yeah.
Yeah. She, first of all, cuts my hair, and I can feel her. I told her I wanted to fade, so she's using a straight razor on the sides and back of my head, and I'm going down to skin and, getting a true fade up. So she turned, after she cuts my hair, she was like, do you want me to do your beard? And I was like, yeah. So she does my beard, and she was like, can I say something? Can I just recommend something? And I won't charge you for it. Oh, and God. She was like, I would love to put color on your beard and get rid of the grays. And I said, I've done that before. I've tried like Just for Men or something. And right. I always look fucking ridiculous. It never matches what my true hair color would have been. It's dark. It looks ridiculous. She's like, I'm a professional. Will you trust me? I was like, I might as well. I don't even know what my hair looks like at this point. Right. So she starts putting color onto my beard and onto my mustache. You'll notice I don't have a mustache anymore either.
You've changed. Okay.
Dude, she turns me around. When everything is said and done, she turns me around. And I'll show you my hair in a second. But she turns me around, and she has my beard, and especially my mustache, almost black.
Oh.
Dude, it was so comical that as soon as I got into my car, I drove to the drugstore and bought a disposable razor and shaved my mustache off because it was, it was so comical. It was so awful. And I had a party to go to.
Wow. It's nice that you were using a colorblind barber.
Why would you do black?
I mean, seriously.
You know what? It wasn't black, but it was so dark brown that it looked black to me. I mean, it was dark.
That's the problem with the Just for Men stuff. It always looks comically dark and different than everything else. It doesn't blend naturally.
It's exactly what it was, dude. So, I mean, I was just like, I saw myself in the mirror and I was like, you fucking bitch, dude. I was so pissed off. And I will, before I take my hat off, she said to me, my hair was probably 2.25, 2.5 inches long on top. Yeah. She was like, what if I cut it a little bit shorter down to about an inch long on top? And I was like, yeah. I said, sometimes when I cut it down there. And then, a couple of days later.
You're such a good victim. I love it.
Yeah.
What you want,
think, dude?
Yeah. Whoa! Oh, no. Oh, boy. For those of you not watching on the interweb, Nick is basically bald.
Bald, dude.
That's not an inch, but that's a millimeter.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude? This is after 2 weeks growth.
Oh.
And yeah, it was not. I mean, I've never had it cut so short, even when I buzzed my own hair.
I mean, that's just a buzz cut. You're going.
That's butchery right there. That's what that is. That's butchery.
100%, dude. And the sides, when she did the sides, like I said, it's grown back now. But I mean, she straight razored up this, up to my temple height. So this was skin.
Oh, dude.
I mean, dude, I was so pissed off. She was like, what do you think? And I was like, I mean, you could see it in my face. I was like, I don't like to get mad at people, especially that I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But I was like, I said, are you fucking kidding me with this? I was like, this is an inch. This is an inch. And she said, I went a little bit more than that. I was like, this is not even close, dude.
A little bit more. So you were bald with a black beard.
Black beard, and she charged me $75, which I had to cough up after I hated this. And she was like, come back next time and we'll do something different. You'll like it more. You look a lot younger is what she kept telling me. I was like, I don't look younger. I look fucking ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah. Did you still tip her? Because something tells me you did.
Yes, we know Nick, so he definitely did.
Nice guy. You tipped her, didn't you?
I did, dude.
I knew it.
Listen. She works on tips, I mean,
no.
Where do you think the $75 goes?
Listen, I didn't tip her 20%. I only gave her 10. But yeah.
So, dude, I thought something may be up, but I didn't think it was a hack butcher job like that. I'm completely sorry.
I mean, I've been wearing a hat wherever I go just because when I saw this, dude, first of all, I know my hair's thin. But when it's longer, I can kind of cover it up a little bit. But when I saw the top of my head and how thin I am on top, I was like, you fucking bitch. Right. Like, I couldn't believe it. So yeah, I've been wearing a hat for 3 weeks.
Now Nick is on antidepressants to compensate for the fact that this woman exposed, just how thin you are up top. Like,
and dude, I'm leaving for Berlin on Friday. Like, when you go on vacation, I'm going to concerts. Like, I just wanted to feel good, look good.
This is a good time to get out of the country, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So just go over there, be free.
Be a skinhead in Germany. Okay, sure, I will. I should have kept my little black mustache on and just trimmed it a bit.
You just shave the rest of your hair off. Be bald.
Oh, I can't, dude. I can't. What you guys can't see is that, you guys always see that I've got this like birthmark here, but I've got so many more on the back of my head that you can see. I don't have a pretty head.
Wow.
I was pissed.
That is abysmal. And it is so Nick Reynolds that you still tipped her.
Yeah, I suppose.
That is so Nick. Yeah, absolutely.
Oof. Well, I'm sorry for that. I suppose eventually it will regrow and you can go back to spiking it. And you're not going back to that person, right?
No, fuck no, dude. And it's growing quick. It's growing a lot faster, I should have showed it to you guys when she first did it because it was comically. Brewski, I was almost no hair bald. Like it is growing fast, but it can't grow fast enough for me.
I feel bad for you. Wow.
Gotta get some Propecia or some Nutrafol or something like that.
It's funny,
we should try to get them as a sponsor.
Yeah. I've been using some hair serum that Rachel picked up for me that you rub into your scalp, and so yeah, I'm on the mend and I'm doing all right, but my ego was bruised more than anything.
I bet that's harsh. You should get that Chia Pet stuff. That grows quicker, actually.
Right? Yeah.
You should
that look good at a festival in Europe.
Pop some vitamin E, a lot of vitamin E.
I've been taking biotin, vitamin E. I'm on it, Brewski. I am really taking care of this.
Listen, you're happily married, so what does it matter? Just go with it, I guess.
But here's the thing, though. If you're not going to cut your hair yourself, don't you have at least 2 hairstylists within your family?
I do. You're right. You're 100% right. I mean, my mother and my niece. I mean, my mom's a long time stylist, but I like a barber, dude. My dad was a barber, and when he cut my hair, I just tell you, if I'm gonna have it cut, I want a barber.
What kind of barber charges $75? That's what I want to know. My lady charges $20. Like,
no, actually, you know what? I went to a different barber in Boston, and it was like one of those high-end expensive places, but they charge like $75.
Yeah, barbering, like the true barbering of hot shaves and hot towels and that ambiance of a barber shop has really come back like over the last 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah. And it has become incredibly expensive. And look, if the barber's great and knows what they're doing, I don't mind paying for it because for a guy, I mean, it's almost like a spa treatment. You're getting shaved with hot lather. A lot of the time you get a head massage, you get the hot towels, and so I don't mind paying it. But yeah, this bitch was crazy, dude.
Listen, if someone calls himself a barber and there's not a bunch of black dudes sitting around the shop, then run the other way. They're not a real barber. Okay.
You think so? I think that you want a black barbershop experience. You can definitely get it.
I saw a documentary called Barbershop, and there was a bunch of black dudes, including Ice Cube, hanging out there. It was on National Geographic, I believe. It was a documentary. So.
Well, has anybody else in this group been treated so poorly over the last week? I mean, as I have.
Segue alert, everybody. Yes. Something shocking and offensive happened to me this past week as well. I still have all my hair, so it's not that bad. But Okay, we've talked before in the show about Gen Z, and the crux of it has always been that this generation seems to be falling apart. And to some extent, I've tried to defend them because a lot of the bad press Gen Z gets, I'm not seeing in my real life with my kids or their friends or schoolmates or whatever. But this week, my opinion of Gen Z just hit an all-time low. I mean, honestly, I have never experienced something so shocking and literally offensive from a school-age child or even an adult, quite frankly. But you're not going to believe this, Brewski. So I told Nick about this in real time because I was like shaking with adrenaline and didn't know what the hell to do. But
shaking with rage,
rage, disgust. I mean, oof,
disbelief.
Yeah. So I dropped my son off at middle school this week. He's in the 8th grade. So I drop him at the school, and the way this school works is you drop in a little circle drive, and then there's this parking lot that you drive through, and it connects to a little side road that connects out to the main road. So that's the exit from the school. So drop my son off, pull through this parking lot. I'm about halfway through the lot, and I see these two little turd boys on mountain bikes. They're riding to school, but they cut across the parking lot right in front of me as I'm driving my car. And I could see them. They stared right at me, almost with this, like, I dare you to hit me. Like, you're going to stop because we're on bikes and you're going to stop person. So these little shits pull right out in front of me on their bikes. And obviously I hit the brakes and stop. And I did my dad thing where I the windows were up, but I yelled at them, like, what are you doing? And I put my hands up in, like, dad disgust. You know?
Yeah.
And these little turds start mouthing off to me. Like, again, my windows are up, so I can't even hear what they're saying, but I could just tell they're mouthing off and they're giving me the stink eye look. And my initial response is
8th graders, dude.
Yes, this is middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th, and these turned out to be 8th graders. And my initial thought was just like, I don't have the time or desire to deal with you little turds. So I proceed on through the parking lot. Get all the way through the parking lot. I start going down this little exit road. And in my rear view mirror, I see one of these little shits sprinting after me on his bike. And I can tell he's yelling and screaming at me. This little turd, I'm still going. My car's moving. I'm going like 5 miles an hour or something, but I'm moving. This little turd gets up alongside of my car. And I don't know if he hit my car with his foot, his bike, or whatever, but contact was made on my car as this little turd is chasing down an adult in the parking lot, yelling and screaming.
Like smacked your car.
Yes. So it's one of those moments where you don't quite know what you would do, but I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I mean, I slammed on my brakes, I opened the door, I jump out, and this little kid is mouthing off, and I'm not even going to say I can't say the word that he said repeatedly because I will not say it. I will certainly not say it as it's being recorded on the internet and all that.
Nuclear?
Okay. No, so and let me guess, he's white, obviously.
Yes.
Of course he is.
And what word is he throwing at me?
He's throwing the N-bomb.
Yes, this kid is repeatedly using the N-word at me. What's your effing problem, N-word? He just N-word. What are you going to do, N-word? I mean, this little 14-year-old piece of shit is throwing the N-word out more often than I've ever heard on an NWA record.
Okay, so hey, I have a question.
Yes.
Did you snap a picture of this kid?
No. Oh, this story just keeps going. Don't worry about the picture yet. I probably should have, because the other problem was this little shithead was wearing a ski mask. I mean, it's early in the morning in Tahoe. He's riding his bike, so I get it. But I couldn't see his face, you know?
Yeah.
I could see enough that he was a white kid. But yeah, so he's spouting off, taunting me. This kid wants to fight with me. And I get right up in his face and I say, I don't know who the fuck you think you're mouthing off to, but turn around and go to school, little boy. And at this point, I notice other parents have now stopped and they're watching this little debacle unfold. And there's a voice in my head literally saying, do not punch this kid.
No.
Don't knock him off his bike, dude. It's not worth it.
Right, because I'm the adult, so that's immediately I go to jail if that happens. So I didn't know what to do. This kid just keeps yelling the N-word at me. And so I just turn around, I get in my car, I leave. The kid is still screaming at the top of his lungs. I head home, I call Nick, and I'm just like, I'm fucking shaking, dude. Like, I don't know what the hell just happened here, but unbelievable. So then I feel like part of me thought I should ignore this because I don't want this bully to know that I'm Crosby's dad. I don't want the dots to be connected because this is the kind of kid that'll get 5 of his buddies and jump my kid in the locker room or something, right? So I was worried about that, like making a stink out of it. But I went to my ex-wife, my co-parent, and told her the story. It was like, I need advice. And first thing she said is, I would have fucking killed the kid, you know.
And I
Yeah.
believe her. I've seen her go off physically on people. You know, like I believe that she would have punched that boy.
Yes, I think a lot of people would have, but no, she agreed. Like, you got to go tell someone at the school. Like, this is not okay. So I go to the school. This was a day where my son was out early, like 2:00. So I get there at 1:30, and I go into the office building and I say, "Hey, I'm a parent here, and a shocking thing happened in the parking lot this morning with another student. Can I please talk to the principal or vice principal, somebody, like, tell the story?" And the school's like, "Yeah, we don't actually take walk-ins here. You can't just go talk to the principal, but here's their email address if you'd like to contact them."
You thought you were being shoved aside, disregarded.
Because I wanted not only to report it in real time before it got out to anyone else, before I looked bad, but I also figured, like, let's go wait by the bike rack. This kid is going to come up and start mouthing off to me again, and then we'll know who he is. I can identify him. And,
Right.
but yeah, I didn't have that chance. So I end up picking up Crosby, and I tell him the story. I actually texted him and said, "Meet me across the street in the parking lot over by Denny's there," because I didn't tell him. But once I picked him up, I told him the story, and that I didn't want, for anyone to know that he was my son in that little group. He immediately knew who the kid was. I just said, "Kid on a black ski mask on a mountain bike." He's like, "I know exactly what you're talking about. That kid got held back. He's a big bully, constant problem on the campus."
And we will reveal his name in 3, 2, 1.
I would like to. I don't actually know what his name is. So I told Cross, "I want you out of this. Like, I'm going to contact the principal. Let's just see what kind of goes from there." So I emailed this entire thing to the principal and to the superintendent, and I, had to write it all out meticulously. And I even put in there, like, I have to write the words that this kid said, but I would never say this word. I would never write this word, but I have to, so you understand how egregious this was. So, yeah, for the first time ever in an email, I used the N-word repeatedly.
Yeah.
To my son's principal.
With an R or an A?
Oh, I spelled it correctly because there was no "g" on the end of this kid.
But here's the thing. I'm going to say this right now.
Yeah.
There is no difference between, I don't care how you spell it. I don't care whether you pronounce the R or not. There's no way that anyone should be using that word in, even if you're just talking to your friend or something like that, you're calling him that. And especially if you're a white person calling another white person that word, or you're a white person calling somebody else that word, or even a black person calling a white person that. That's not a word that needs to be used like dude or bro or bruh or anything like that.
Totally. My kids, though, that night at dinner told me that word is commonplace. And we live in a very predominantly white community. There's a decent amount of Latino and Asians, but I mean, maybe there's one black kid in that entire school, and apparently these little shits just use that word all the time.
Oh, dude, you have to understand. I actually hear 20-somethings, early 20-somethings in my car, be they white, Hispanic, black. All of them use it like I said, like dude, bro, bruh.
Yeah, I had the urge in the heat of this moment to just pull this kid aside, like, "Do you understand what that word means?" Like, but obviously that wouldn't have meant anything to that kid.
No.
Yeah, it's part of why I was just so shocked and taken aback. But yeah, so yeah, I emailed the principal that night. I used the whole thing, and the next morning I get a call from the principal. And I got to say, he was nice. He was polite, and he told me, like, "Listen, I got your email," and we immediately pulled the security footage from the parking lot, which I didn't know there were security cameras out there. And he said, like, the first initial incident happened right in front of the camera, so we got a really good view of it. It happened exactly as you described, and I know exactly who that kid is. And I told him I don't want my name involved because I don't want my son getting, implicated in all of this. So he said, like, "We don't need your son to tell us anything. We know exactly who this kid is. We'll talk to him today." He then called me back the next day and said, "All right, we talked to this kid. We've suspended him for the appropriate amount of time. I can't tell you how egregious this is, how shocked I am. This is not what our student body is supposed to represent. And by the way, we gave him an additional day suspension because he wasn't wearing a helmet while he was riding his bike to school."
Congratulations. When you feel like somebody gets it, dude, and steps up, this easily could have gone away and been like, "We talked to him, and I can assure you this won't happen again." But when they've been punished appropriately, and you know what, I would have liked to see him punished even more than he was. But I understand this is a great thing for this principal to step out and do. You feel, I don't even think vindicated is the right word, because you want this kid to have some time to think about what a freaking idiot he is, and it sounds like he's going to get it. I hope.
I mean, I don't expect that it's going to change this kid's perspective on life, but I just hope, in all seriousness, the school keeps an extra eye on this kid because he's a little powder keg. To chase down an adult in the parking lot and want to fight me and be swearing and using the N-word, like, this kid's going to show up with a gun someday. So I want him on a watch list.
Well, the thing about that too is then that there is no accountability at home, and somebody's down the road is not going to have the restraint that you did.
I was going to say he'll say that word to the wrong person someday, and
but it's not even just saying that word. The attitude and the general demeanor going at somebody like that, and someone's gonna hurt him and hurt him not in like a just punch you in the head kind of way, but it's going to be worse.
Yes. They usually say that people who talk like that, and I'm not even talking about the N-word, but coming at you, I'll kick your ass, I'll do this, you get out of here. Like, that's somebody who hasn't ever been taught a lesson. Yes. And the fuck around and find out hasn't happened to them. And once it does, I hate to burst your bubble, pussies around the world. Tough guys don't talk like that. People who could really do damage, they don't fucking talk like that. The majority of them, they just don't. So the kid needs to be taught a lesson for sure.
Now, Crosby actually told me, he was like, that's real common. Like, these kids just bluster. They'll never actually throw a punch at you, but they just think they could sound all tough. And Crosby asked me, like, how come you didn't punch the kid? And I was like, well, I'm an adult, son. Like, that would put me in jail. He's like, so can I punch him? Because I could take that kid. And the last punch I give him, I'll tell him it's for my dad.
Good for Crosby.
Yeah. I wish this was this day and age that you could have been like, yeah, go take care of it, son. Right. I appreciate you.
And also, in all seriousness, too, I'm glad it alleviated me of anything. I was a little concerned the principal would be like, what are you doing? And screaming in a kid's face and admonishing him. Like, so it took me off the hook legally as well.
Yeah. No, that's crazy, dude. Crazy. I tell you what, I know from just having nieces and nephews at that age in school and stuff like that I found out a couple of years ago. I was shocked that they said, white kids use the N-word all the time in school. And they were telling me this and how egregious that they found it. But they were like, it's commonplace. There's something that, if there is a few black people that go to school with them, that they can get their card to be able, like it's a permission slip to be able to use that word. And as long as you get your permission slip, like you can say it without any repercussions. I was like, are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Right. There's repercussions coming. So
do we see the common thread here though between Steve's experience and what you were just saying about your nieces and nephews?
What's that?
That they're both predominantly white communities.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get it. I get it. The kids like to gravitate towards hip hop culture and that sort of thing. I mean, I did as well in high school and that sort of thing, but I never once ever thought about doing something like that. But if you notice, because there aren't black people around, there's no one to actually say to them, hey, listen, you can't say that word.
Right.
Yeah. And now we're trying, well, not we, but there are people that are trying to make it so it's not possible to teach them that in school either. You know what I mean? They don't want, our black history really taught in schools.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, so that was a fun little culture shock sort of thing for me. So, sorry, Gen Z, but you lost a few points in my category after that one. So,
well, that kid's not the mayor by any means of Gen Z. So hopefully the rest of y'all are better.
That is fair. So, all right. Well, we started off talking about the my conspiracy theory as to why Nick was wearing a hat, which turned out to be true. There was something going on under that hat. I got a list here, some other things that have been conspiracy theories for years, and it turns out, hey, some of these are true. I saw a stand-up comedian once that said that if you believe every conspiracy theory, you're an idiot. But if you don't believe any of them, you're gullible.
That's another T-shirt for our TikTok shop.
That's right. I'll credit that guy. But so this is a list of some conspiracy theories. The first one on the list, I guess I shouldn't find this funny, but it's kind of funny to me. For years, people have been talking about the fact that there was some island that rich people were going to bang underage, girls at. And it, of course, sounded like an insane conspiracy theory. How could there be an island where rich men are banging teenagers?
Ex-presidents, current presidents.
Right. But, of course, Jeffrey Epstein. It turns out to be 100% true.
Yep.
Yeah, it's too bad he killed himself, dude.
Or did he, speaking of conspiracies?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, though, do you think he did commit suicide or because
No.
he knew so many rich people? I mean, come on, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he was murdered, dude. I'm pretty positive of that fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
has to be.
I don't believe in coincidences in the fact that the security footage outside the cell where he was being under, watch and all that sort of thing, cuts out and then cuts back on, and then that time that's missing in between, that's when he died.
Yeah.
I
I really hope somebody sodomized him and then killed him. I mean, seriously, like karma, rape that dude and then murder him.
Yeah,
Is that bad of me?
No, I don't think that's bad of you at all. I think we all wish that's what happened to him, but I think he was probably killed fairly quickly. He was taken out. And,
broken neck. They snapped in the vertebrae, and they did it really quick.
Time was
And
of
it
the essence.
It was somebody, and it was also somebody who knew what they were doing.
And just even getting in that prison would be difficult. I mean, those things are hard to get out of. They're hard to get into as well. So there had to be multiple levels of professional assistance on that.
Inside job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. We all know Bill Clinton hired somebody to do it, So.
Yeah. All right. Other conspiracy theories out there that prove to be true. If I asked either of you guys to name the worst ever Atari game, either in your personal experience or do you know the urban legend, what is the worst ever Atari game made?
Miss Pac-Man.
Nope.
I would guess probably either the ET one or Adventure. Those would probably be my choices. Oh, and there was another one called, it was a haunted house one that was really bad too.
Quit while you're ahead. You nailed it on the first one. E.T., I remember I had an Atari. I was a lucky little turd that got an Atari, and I had Pitfall and Pac-Man, and I remember getting that E.T. game for that Christmas. I've seen a documentary about that. Basically, the movie company came to Atari and said, we need this game, and it has to be made in time for Christmas. So they literally designed the game in like 30 days. This designer was doing coke, staying up all night. And I remember as a kid playing that game thinking, like, this game sucks. And it did. And it's become a legend as to how badly it sucked.
Remember how you could make his head go up and down and all that sort of thing?
Yes, the whole game was pointless. Nick, did you ever play it or anything?
I remember that it has E.T. in the basket with Elliot on the bike. I thought you had to fly over the moon or something. Yeah, I remember the game.
It was terrible gameplay, terrible graphics. Every single aspect of it was terrible. So there was this urban legend, a conspiracy, that Atari took all of the unsold E.T. games and buried them in a landfill. And a documentary a few years ago went and they wanted to find out if it was true. So they excavated the landfill. And sure as shit, they found the ET cartridges that were buried out there.
Dude, that is, how many did they toss? Hundreds of thousands?
I mean, the conspiracy was thousands, but they excavated multiple portions of this landfill before they found a little cache of them where they could, enough to prove, like there's, 100 of them buried here. So they just assumed there has to be more than that.
Of course.
But yeah,
wow,
so
dude.
Atari just threw them all away.
That's great. Well,
makes sense.
When you got a real turd, you got a real turd. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that was a legendarily bad game.
Gee, this isn't a conspiracy theory, but do you know about the Jerry Maguire pyramid?
Jerry Maguire pyramid? No, what is that?
There's a guy who's doing this art project, and it's been ongoing for years. And he's been collecting VHS copies of Jerry Maguire, and people send them to him. There's an address and everything. I have 5 copies. I found at a thrift store. I still haven't sent them to him. And he's building a pyramid, gluing them together out of VHS copies of Jerry Maguire.
Wow.
Show me the pyramid. Why? Why Jerry Maguire? That was a decent movie, wasn't it?
I think the pyramid thing is because of Tom Cruise being a Scientologist or something like that.
That's funny. Well, speaking of conspiracies, aliens built the pyramid, so that all makes sense, actually. Thank you. All right, next conspiracy.
Well, listen.
You guys are like my kids when I bring that up. Everyone's just silent.
Who's that guy in Ancient Aliens? The guy with like the squinty eyes that looks really stoned.
Jackie Gleason.
I'll have to look it up.
Mark McGrath.
No.
Bonivar? Is it Brett Michaels?
No, it's not Brett Michaels.
Is it
He's got big hair.
Robin Williams?
You don't understand. When I tell you when you see this guy, who this guy is, here it is. His name is Giorgio A. DeLuca Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
That was my next guess, actually.
Yeah, he's a self-publisher. He's a Swiss-born writer and ufologist, whatever the hell that is.
Why do all the crazy people have to be on my side of this alien stuff?
And the thing about it is when you see a picture of him, you say, "Oh, I know who you're talking about."
Yeah.
Oh, Mork from Mork.
Oh, okay. If it's a UFO. It's a ufology. Is the investigation of unidentified flying objects by people who believe they may be of extraordinary origins. Well, geez, let's call Scully and Mulder already.
Yeah.
Are we talking about Kirk Cameron? Is that who we're talking about right now?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he believes in aliens. He believes in Jesus. So.
Oh. Richard Dean? Is that who you're talking about?
Richard Dean Anderson?
Yeah.
He does have big hair, doesn't he? All right, moving on down the list here. Speaking of crazy people, we heard for years and years and years that Britney Spears was being silenced and abused and controlled and manipulated, and everyone thought that Britney was crazy. But turns out to be true. Free Britney, right?
Yeah. Free
Who
Britney.
cares? I don't care.
I don't know if I care, actually. But it was a conspiracy theory out there.
I care, dude. I care about anyone being taken advantage of, right?
I think Britney is indicative of what has become of society in these last 25-something years, because she was this cute, young, hot thing around the year 2000, and now she's a knife-wielding psychopath on the internet.
Yeah.
That's a little metaphor for everything we've all been through, I think, in these last many years.
What are you saying? She's actually crazy? She was crazy?
I think she's probably always been crazy, but there was always the theories that, yeah, she was being suppressed and manipulated, and her family was, controlling and abusing her.
Well, that wasn't a theory. I mean, that was the truth.
Well, we didn't know it, though. For years, this was out there as a conspiracy theory.
I see what you're saying. Then we found out. Okay.
Yeah, found out it was true. Everyone thought she was, crazy to be saying these things. But no.
Well, she's had her growth stunted because she hasn't graduated to where she needs to be, which is moving straight to XXX porn.
I'm waiting for that leap, quite frankly.
She needs to just straighten up and fly right and go on her true path and start doing porn.
I literally just saw an article the other day. I didn't read it, but the headline was, "We estimated how much money Britney Spears can make on OnlyFans." And, if an average woman is able to make six figures a month, I mean, think of what Britney Spears could make if she was doing porn.
Well, you just look at what Maitland Ward is making right now, not even just on OnlyFans, but she's doing porn, but she's also doing porn that's like directed by her. So it's...
Who is that?
Oh, she was the girl, Rachel, who was on Boy Meets World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's...
Who's this? Dana Plato?
Nick, I'm not gonna play. So,
well, you're not gonna play. We're doing a show here, dude.
I know, but I'm giving you the name. I gave you the name, Maitland Ward. You can look her up. You can do the Google thing.
The point is, even a pseudo celebrity can make a lot of money on this.
Yeah,
Britney Spears. I mean, she can make a ton. And speaking of OnlyFans, by the way, we're on Reddit nowadays, and anytime I post videos, I try to find topic-related pages to the topic of the video of ours that we're posting. And when I posted recently this new sex position, the cat, the coital alignment technique, when I went on Reddit, I tried to post it on some porn pages because I figured it's sex. Like, let's see what porn readers want. So
yeah, I
typed in OnlyFans on Reddit, and I found a page of people that post OnlyFans, like ceiling fans and desk fans. Like, oh man, what are you Reddit people doing? You got this much time?
People collect those. They have stand on American Pickers.
Yeah, sure they do, but I feel that's false advertising. You can have a website in this day and age called OnlyFans. So
it's OnlyFans, Steve.
It's OnlyFans, Steve.
It's not I guess it's not false advertising. So. Yeah. All right, Brewski, give us a history lesson. What are the Panama Papers? Because this is apparently a conspiracy that everyone thought was false, but turns out to be true.
No, the Panama Papers is actually, they go back to about the mid-'70s, and it's all about taxation and money laundering and how there's all this offshore money, and there are people who've been pulled into it, like David Cameron, former British Prime Minister, even the Trumps, obviously, a lot of famous people.
Is Kirk Cameron on that list?
Here's, let me read this. This is Dana Plato. This is Tiffany Amethyst. I don't see him on there. Dude.
Okay, good. All right, these are conspiracies that were kicked around society for years before we figured out they were actually true. Do you guys know why pretty much most of America has become obese? There's an actual reason behind this, and it gets to one of my things here. But do you know the reason?
Margarine.
No. Anybody?
Kirk Cameron.
Mainly Kirk Cameron and Data Plato, yes.
Not having the low calorie butter that gets talked about in our open.
No. You guys really don't know what changed in Americans' diet that has made so many people overweight?
GMOs.
No.
HGMOs.
Is it corn syrup?
Yeah, essentially sugar. So somewhere around the 1970s, fat became very, unpolitically correct. Everything, all the food that had fat in it, all of a sudden became fat-free. Fat-free everything became a big trend in the 70s. But when you take the fat out of food, it doesn't taste very good. So the entire food industry started putting sugar in everything. I mean, stuff it shouldn't even be in, like French fries or something. I mean, it's
peanut butter.
Everything. And, it's well documented. You can look at pictures of Americans at the beach in the 1950s and 60s, and everyone's thin, and you look at it nowadays, and everyone's overweight. And that really is what happened. Our entire food system went from fat to sugar, and sugar makes you fat. When I went to Vegas a couple of weeks ago and I drank all the sugary drinks all week, I literally gained 5 pounds that weekend just from having so much sugar introduced into my diet, because I'm usually pretty good about it nowadays. But the conspiracy theory here is that for years, the sugar industry was paying scientists to blame fat instead of sugar for heart disease and obesity and a bunch of other things. And the sugar industry for years denied it, obviously, but it has since come to light that that's exactly what happened. It's like the tobacco industry. They had corrupt scientists trying to taint the data so that none of us would blame sugar.
So fat became déclassé, and sugar took advantage of that. It's funny, dude. I don't think this is the first time something like that has happened. I mean, like you said, you were talking in the last episode that you use butt wipes with Winnie the Pooh on them. Yeah. You assume that they're good. Like, I don't think all of the stuff that we think is good is actually good. There's a great documentary of all the food that we have in our grocery stores now that about, 15 years ago, they started coming up with all these labels and buzzwords for healthy foods, in quotes, air quotes. And what a racket it is that if you take the time to actually look at the ingredients on 95% of those items, that they are terrible for you.
Yeah.
We're fat.
You know what the sad reality is, too? I watched an interesting documentary about this a few years ago about how much sugar has become in our diets. And one of the points it made that if you wanted to live a pure lifestyle and get foods that don't have all this sugar added to it, you can't do it. Not in any sort of average mainstream grocery store. It's just become so proliferated that unless you're living on a farm and just growing it yourself, like, you can't avoid it. So you just got to do your best to moderate it and exercise a little more. But yeah, sugar's in freaking everything. It's crazy.
The Archies were paid in that campaign.
Sugar, baby. Going down the sugar shack.
They were. The Sugar Shack, Jerry and the Fireballs. Come on.
Right.
But does this also include booger sugar?
Yes, dude. Yeah, they got paid. I mean, they're all paid. Mikey likes it. That was a big thing. Come on.
Hey, Maroon 5's got a new song called Sugar. I mean, this generational music conspiracy has continued with the pro-sugar propaganda.
And Brown Sugar by the Stones.
Yes. That was an early one. You
just blew my mind.
Well, do you guys remember Olestra?
Yeah, that was like that, fat supplement that made everyone have diarrhea?
But they use it in potato chips. Lay's had those potato chips, and it turned out that people were getting like really bad cases of diarrhea.
And that's why they were called Wow, because wow, do I have explosive diarrhea all of a sudden.
Remember, if you have diarrhea, don't wipe too hard.
Right, be gentle. with your
Olean.
tender sphincter.
Olean, that's what it was called. Yeah.
So the actual real name of it is Olestra, but then the marketing name was Olean.
They printed that on the front of those Lay's bags, dude. Made with Olean. We're like,
Yeah.
we're all shitting our pants, but sure.
The musical conspiracy continues. Dolly Parton had a hit song, Olean, Olean.
Oh, wow. We'll reach for that one.
Also, in our last episode, when we were discussing sphincters and all that kind of stuff, Nick threw out the thing about baby powder being bad for everyone, right?
Yes, it's terrible. Well, it's not. You got to look for a non-talc product. You should be using cornstarch only.
Yeah.
Well, but you've seen the ads on TV for those law firms that have with the class action lawsuits. If you use talc or talcum based products, you might have gotten cancer.
Right.
You can get some money. There's money in it for you.
It's
For
huge.
years, that was the conspiracy theory that, yes, the baby powder had some toxic element to it. And it turns out, it had asbestos in it, amongst other things. So,
Yeah, rubbing your baby in it, dude. I mean, we doused our babies with it for generations.
Remember, though, a few weeks ago, we had a story on the show about the playground in Australia with the play chips, and
Yes.
they had asbestos in them.
Yeah, it's crazy. We don't care, dude. We don't care. Whatever it is, save $1.
I assume we're through all of that, right? Everything's safe now. That's all.
Dude, I met a guy in the grocery store last night. This will blow your freaking mind. I bought a pack of cigarettes, and the guy was like, he held the pack up after he went and got it out, and he was like, I used to smoke 2 packs of these a day. And the reason he brought it up is because they're so expensive. He was like, these are so expensive. I used to smoke 2 packs a day. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, oh, that's really bad for you, dude. And he said, when I was I moved up here from Texas, and he said, we used to be able to go, and I mean, he was a younger kid than I was. We used to be able to go when I lived in Texas to the Indian reservation. We could buy a pack of cigarettes for $2.50 at the Indian reservation, and all the cigarettes were pink, and they were for cancer research. All the money you made off these cigarettes went directly back to cancer research, and they put different chemicals and stuff like that in them, and they want to see what it'll do to your body. And they sold them for $2 a pack.
Wow. I thought you were joking. So they were dyed pink so they could see the pink in the lungs and all that kind of thing? Or
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. He just told me they were pink, and, they said right on the pack that 100% of the proceeds go to, cancer research and find chemicals that you don't find in other cigarettes on the market. I was like, wow.
But isn't pink the ribbon that they people wear for breast cancer awareness?
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I don't know what the pink actually meant, but he was like, you could tell right away they were the pink cigarettes. I was like, that is the craziest shit that you would go pay. Now they're cheap, dude. Let's see what they do to my body.
I mean, it's humorous in some ways, a sad commentary on smokers, and you can look down your nose at those guys that they're dyed pink and they were told, but, every pack of smokes you buy, Nick, has a big label on it saying this is going to kill you.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Listen, the solace I take is I know what these are going to do to my body. Like, I don't know what those are going to do to my body.
You get normal cancer, not the freaky Indian reservation cancer.
I mean, when you go to Mexico or you go to Canada or anywhere, like those packs of cigarettes, just instead of just being like fun, delightful packs, they have like pictures of like dead babies laying on the ground and stuff. I still smoke them, and I know that's terrible, dude. But
man, you smokers, I tell you. I mean, we're telling these stories, and what did Nick just do? You just lit a cigarette up.
Oh yeah, well, it's like you're getting me horny, dude. I mean, it's the same thing here, dude.
Hilarious. We're talking about cigarettes killing you. Nick's like, I feel the urge to get a smoke right now. Wow. All right, these are conspiracy theories we heard about for years that turned out to actually be true. And this one, I never heard this. The companies were artificially limiting the lifespan of light bulbs. Did you ever hear that theory?
Yeah, I heard that. I did hear that. That turned out to be true?
Yes. Apparently light bulbs from like the 1950s would last like 30, 40 years. And all of a sudden, light bulbs started popping within 6 to 12 months. And apparently, yeah, that was something the light bulb industry did, was to use cheaper filaments and elements to, basically assure they're not going to last that long.
Yeah, they were lasting way too long. You couldn't make any money as a light bulb dealer. So they had to, let's speed this process up a little bit.
That's like drug dealer mentality. Like, get them hooked. We need them coming back often. So, yeah, I never heard that one. But.
Dude, it's funny, though. We hear the same shit about Apple and other cell phone companies. I know for Apple, for sure, that people always say, like, every update they do, they make your phone slower.
Dude,
so,
the next thing on my list, that Apple purposely makes their old phone slower.
That's right, dude. They make them slower. When you get the required update, they make your phone slower, so you have to buy a new one.
Really?
And there was a class action lawsuit against that, and they lost.
So are they not doing it anymore, apparently?
That's a great question. I would hope once you get busted for something like that, they would stop. Yeah.
You would hope.
I know people used to say not only would they make your phone slower, but, they were making your battery, changing your percentages on your batteries with updates for older phones. So you had to go get it serviced or buy a new phone. There was all kinds of stuff they were doing, and that's so shitty, dude.
That's crazy. I think there's a conspiracy in the marijuana industry because that stuff is really flammable. I just have to replace it constantly.
Yeah, it's been that way for a long time. I don't think that's a conspiracy, dude.
Speaking of drugs being a conspiracy, segue. I had heard this one, but I didn't know that this was proven to be true. The crack epidemic was fueled and facilitated by the CIA. Documents have come out proving the connection between Central American drugs being distributed through the CIA and law enforcement agencies in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they targeted, marginalized communities, black neighborhoods, stuff like that. And I mean, that theory even goes well beyond with, have you ever been in a neighborhood where you see a liquor store on every corner and wonder, why don't I have a liquor store on every corner in Issaquah, Washington? Or, that's been proven that the CIA not only was involved, but we've been doing that to communities for a long time.
Was this like a Reagan thing? Was this the CIA go rogue? I mean, who in the 80s?
No, it's a Reagan thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just say no to drugs while they're out there having the CIA distribute them to the black communities.
Well, it's a misdirection.
No wonder black people don't trust white guys. I mean, geez.
Well, it goes back to the Tuskegee Airmen. You know what the government was doing to those guys? They were injecting them with syphilis and other sexually transmitted diseases to see what would happen if it went untreated, like what did it do to the body and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, we call that torture in the modern world, but back then you could get away with it.
Yeah. By the way, and this is Steve, you being a comic book fan, there was a Captain America kind of issues in between where there was a alternate kind of storyline where
the super soldier.
Yeah, because the whole idea was they wouldn't have injected super soldier syndrome into a white soldier. They would have been testing it on a black soldier.
Yep. The Disney Plus show, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they get into that storyline a little bit. They meet the black Captain America. Okay. And it's part of what inspires the Falcon to take over the mantra, Captain America. Now Captain America's dead. Spoiler alert, Nick. Sorry. That is a classic storyline.
Yeah.
And another related one. Again, I'd heard this, but I didn't know this had been proven to be true, that the FBI and local law enforcement stalked, harassed, and blackmailed Martin Luther King Jr. They even tried to get him to kill himself.
Yes.
That's true?
J. Edgar Hoover. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. White people do suck. What the hell, man?
Yes, dude. I mean, and we did it to the Native Americans. We've done it to everybody.
Don't drink the water, right? Isn't that what that song's about?
Yeah. Don't drink that water, dude. There's blood in the water. We killed them all. We came as friendly faces and just wiped them out, dude. We have a history of doing that seems to be repeating itself in different, in different appearances. So it's the same thing with the crack epidemic. We were doing the same thing. We were just doing it amongst you all.
Right. And yeah, the Dave Matthews song, Don't Drink the Water. You remember in Chicago when their tour bus unloaded their sewage tank into the river?
Yeah.
You have a whole new meaning to that song?
Yeah, don't drink that water. Please don't drink the
somebody was selling t-shirts for a while that said, I got shit on by Dave Matthews.
yeah. That happened. He paid a big fine for that. I mean, obviously it wasn't Dave Matthews who did
it was the bus driver that did
Tour
it.
bus driver.
I think he was out there opening the valve himself. This whole topic is making me, I don't know, a little less animosity towards conspiracy theorists. Just always dismiss them out of hand. Like, apparently 1 out of 10 at least of the theories turns out to be true. So
here's the thing, dude. You can have conspiracy theories. You can look into things, but if you don't find any factual basis for them, we got to let them go until that pops around, right? Otherwise, you're crazy.
All right. Well, find us online, thevocalminority.net.
Yeah, call our comment line if you dare, 844-48-VOCAL.
Yep.
And thanks for tuning into the podcast. We have social media, don't we?
We got a bunch of them, so go find them. YouTube and TikTok are some of the faves, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Reddit.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we appreciate you. All right, say goodbye, Brewski. Let's do it.
Bye-bye, love.
And we say bye-bye.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Stop.
This is the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. This is your chance to get vocal.